The Strange Findings Podcast.
Hey, I think I'm gonna whip my dick out now. You can stay if you want.
The Strange Findings Podcast.
I'm just gonna fucking rub my pussy right here, Randy. Just Welcome to Strange Findings. I am Franklin, and with me as always, the doctor from New Hampshire, Ray McGuff.
Hola!
How are you doing, sir?
I've been better. I've been better, man.
Well,
all my heroes are really doing some crazy shit lately.
Well, we got the reason we put this episode together was to kind of address the rash of recent Hollywood scumbag outings. Is that what you would call it?
Scumbaggery, I guess.
Now, to me, I've had to personally make a weird, strange line in the sand. I don't know if you've had to do that for yourself also. Like I can let some shit go past, like Louis C.K.'s thing. I'm looking past that because that seems more like an awkward sexual encounter from a sad man who never gets laid. Nobody's fucking Louis C.K. So he's asking women if he can jerk off in front of them. What a weird thing that is. Okay.
There's a couple of things with that though that I can't wrap my head around, and like I get the first and foremost is I agree with you on that. Is I'm looking past it. I don't think he should lose his whole career over it, especially since nobody got hurt and nobody's pressing charges. You know what I mean?
Right.
He basically, was in a hotel room, said, "Hey, want to see my dick?" Whips it out and starts jerking off. Now, he wasn't holding anybody down,
right?
So I don't know why they didn't leave if they didn't want to see him come. I don't know.
Right. And this will go into my overlying point about feminism and what I really want to happen is for women to uplift themselves, to feel that they can get out of that circumstance and it not be a sexual crime. Because really what it is a awkward man who does not know how to interact with women. Clearly, that's what his fucking TV show's about, right?
Right.
Like him jerking off in front of random women would have been a part of the TV show. Like he's like, fuck, I fucked it up again. I pulled my dick out. Like it would be something like that, and I think that everybody's had an awkward sexual encounter like this, like where you try to make a move on a girl, although that's a bold move. That's a very bold move. But his frustration level must be at, capacity.
Well,
because, Louis C.K.
And where's the line, too, Frank? If you're on a date with a girl and you go back to her place, let's say, right?
Yeah.
And things are going good, and then you go in for the kiss or what have you, and she says no, that's pretty cut and dry,
right?
But if you're like, hey, I'm gonna take my dick out, is that cool? And she's like, all right. I mean, to me, I don't know what more, like, I don't know, like, to me that seems like, oh, there's going to be a night of intercourse or some sort of form of
right
here.
Yeah. And you got to realize, he's huge, right? Huge celebrity. So he has that women fawn all over him sort of because he's Louis C.K. So that does have to happen, but they don't want to fuck him. So basically you got to assume that it got down to a point where several women, he got to the point where it would be this is where I make the sex move. And then he went to make the sex move. It didn't work out. And then he's like, well, can I at least just jerk off here? 'Cause I'm a sad man. That's exactly what it seems like happened to me. So I'm looking past that one. I don't know that much about the George Takei news that was just released.
No, from what I understand, the George Takei is vehemently denying that he even knows that person. So I don't know how that's going to play out.
And that's the thing.
Again, you can't, when somebody speaks out, you can't immediately deny it. But we're not a judge and jury here,
Yeah.
This court of public opinion shit's got to stop. It's
right. Nowhere else in the world, aside from celebrity, Louis C.K. is the perfect example. This happened, right? This came out, which is essentially 3 or 4. How many? 5 women? Is it 5 women?
5 women, and this was this wasn't recently. It wasn't like this was last week. This was 8 years ago.
Right. So basically they just it would be like if you asked like a girl to let him pee on, like, can I pee on you a little bit? Like, if you asked them that and they like, let's say they even declined and it never happened. Let's say that they come out in the news and say you all asked them if you could piss on them. Why was everybody calling for this guy to lose his job? Because our president had somebody pee on him, and he's like still the guy. So it's just weird because like if you see a guy at a bar that you know that works at fucking the Radio Shack, and you see him make a bad move with a girl, like grab her tit or something at the bar, that gets around town. Does everybody want him fired from Radio Shack? No, they don't give a fuck. They move on with their day. So like, where's the line in the sand for like this kind of like, because everything's coming out of the woodwork, ass grabbing and all this stuff. What is like a bad move, right? And what is a sexual assault? Because I have no idea at this point. Because according to Facebook, everything's a sexual assault. So
well, I mean, from what I understand, any unwanted touching could be could be considered an assault,
right?
But that's the thing is I mean, I don't know. I can't think of one person that probably hasn't had that happen to them.
Oh yeah,
or vice versa. And I don't know. So I don't know. Like, what do we do? Do we all just tell on everybody, or do we try to change the situation? You see what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Why? Because I liked your thing earlier where we were talking about women should elevate themselves. And it sounds like, and you're right. So what we have to do as men is go, there is a problem. We see this problem now. It's very open now. I see it. I see it as a man. Okay. I wasn't aware it was this big of a problem. I guess either I'm an idiot or it's been very greatly covered up, right. At least in my world. So what we now need is women to get on their local city councils like they have been doing recently, which is good. They need to start support groups for each other and people who have had this traumatic experience. And they need to change the laws to affect it, to make it more serious of a crime so that it happens again. And it also, education needs to happen. Because if you think back to your schooling days, Frank, was anything of any nuance taught in your school? I know mine it wasn't, but it was basically like, here's a penis, here's what it does, here's vagina, here's what it does. Don't put them together or you're going to be real fucked.
Here's the penis and the scrotum that holds the testicles or testes inside. Now, when you're around 14, maybe sooner, maybe later, the testes start making a chemical substance called a hormone.
That hormone, is that what you call sperm?
No, sperm is something else. Sperm is made in the testes, too. Do you all know what sperm is?
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, what I'd like to see is schools. They got other shit to learn anyways at this point, but why not if ratchet it up in education and start early and say, listen, here's a penis, here's a vagina, here's what they do to create a baby, here's how men and women should interact, or people who find each other attractive should interact, and here's the boundaries we should respect each other in these certain boundaries. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Nobody wants to talk about that. My birds and the bees talk from my parents was very vague. I'm sure most people's are. My school didn't do a very good job, and so I just had to kind of figure it out. I'd be like, oh, you don't go do that. Okay.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, my main thing about the whole issue nowadays is, like, some things, we should all know about.
Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey, yeah. I mean, like, things like, huge impositions on society, like Bill Cosby, that's definitely something that, should be known. But, like the Louis C.K. thing, that seems just sad to me. Like, because he was really just abusing himself, that.
And those women, I mean, I don't know how they felt when they left initially, and it sounds like they were pretty upset.
Yeah.
But I mean, that guy is destroyed now. And rightfully so, I guess, for using his power in the wrong way, I guess. But I mean, were they really thinking like this guy has daughters? You know what I mean? Instead of getting together and talking with him about it at this point, and explaining the situation, and he looks like a fucking perv
Right.
in front of his two daughters, and his ex-wife now will probably fucking hold
him.
on to them
Yeah.
like gold.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, and he's probably got some psychological problems. It sounds like, so maybe he should get help. And maybe, but as people because these chicks were friends with a girl that was Tig Notaro, who
Yeah.
was friends with Louis C.K. until she found out all this shit.
Yeah.
And instead of being a friend and going, hey man, you know, here's some shit. I brought these girls over. We need to talk to you about this, and maybe you can get some help, and bring in a few other people in like an intervention style situation.
Yeah.
They fucking put it in the public eye, and now this guy's. I'll be surprised if he doesn't kill himself. I will be.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you.
And if you know what, if he does, I'm gonna blame it on everybody that was a complete asshole, because he came out directly, apologized, addressed the situation, addressed that he had an issue, and I think that is a big move for someone in that position, because they had him over a barrel, and
not only did it affect him personally in his personal life, which it probably should have. Like I said, I'm not defending that, but they didn't take a moment to step back and realize that this guy's name was touting hundreds and hundreds of people's jobs are lost now. Hundreds of people are out of work because of this, and you know, like I mean, I just don't know. As somebody, if somebody did that to me, let's say that some reason I went to a female comic, right? Show, and I got invited back to her hotel room, which I should probably know what that fucking means anyways, but in this day and age you have to throw your hands up and imagine that we're going to talk about Shakespeare or some shit. Right?
Yeah.
But let's say I go back there and things get a little awkward, and she starts going, I'm going to play with my pussy, you can stick around if you want. And I choose to stick around, I'm going to put that one on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the thing I want to get down to it with the ladies here, is that Stop acting like you don't have power, because you do. You may not physically have the ability to beat up Louis C.K. if he's jerking off in the same room with you, but you can try to leave. If he tries to stop you, there's probably a lamp right there. There's probably a fucking heavy instrument.
That's the thing. They didn't even try to leave, right? I mean, from what I've read. So if then it becomes a crime. If he tries to stop them, then you're in a crime, and then he deserves everything that comes down the pike.
Right.
But if he just was sitting in his chair all sad as you're leaving, oh, you guys aren't going to join in? Cool, I'm going to go and finish this off.
Yeah.
I mean,
because if that's happened,
just a weird night, man. You know,
like you do stand-up comedy. Let's say Roseanne Barr, who is, you know, probably not your thing. I don't know. She would be the equivalent of a Louis C.K. dude, because he's not like a hot dude, you know.
Right.
Let's say she does that to you, and she's like, I'm just gonna fucking wrap my pussy right here, Randy. Just, man. And she's just fucking pulls it out.
Well, you've known me for a long time. I would probably stick around, because that's a neat story to tell. You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of an odd guy, so I would be like, nah, all right.
Yeah. For me personally, my perspective, that's a weird, interesting fucking thing that is happening. But but you would just leave if you didn't want to be there, and women can do that too. If the guy's not physically trying to hold you there, like if
I stood up and I said, no, Roseanne Barr, no.
See,
Good
and
day,
I have
ma'am. And I left. I wouldn't be that upset. I would just be like, can you believe, Frank, that Roseanne Barr wanted me to watch her put her fingers in her puss?
Like, Randy, check this out. This is a story, a real life story that actually happened to me. And it's weird. It's a weird thing that I carry with me, and it happened, and it's just a weird thing. I work in a store, and I have no ass. Like, I have no ass to hold my pants up. So sometimes when I'm doing some work on a low shelf, I got a little ass crack hanging out, you know? A little man cleavage, you might say. I know the ladies love it. They're fucking asking for it through the email all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
But what happened was, one day I was, you know, working on something, didn't realize it, had a little bit of male cleavage happening, and I felt a finger go down my ass crack. Okay? Like, right down in my ass crack. And I look up, and it was a old man, dude. An old man. And he didn't say anything to me. And I didn't say anything to him. I was like, oh, like awkward, weird. But what's that? Should I tell the papers that happened? Because that was fucked up. And I don't even know who that dude was.
You should have looked him right in the eye and said, "That's $1."
I should have said to him, "Sir, I want you fired." Because he actually touched me.
I'm going to ruin your family. I'm going to fucking burn your house down.
And that's the story that happened to me. And here's another one. I was at the bar. Big lady comes to me. And that's the thing. I'm a bigger guy. I attract larger women, sort of like a hummingbird feeder. And this woman pushed me into the bathroom and tried to stick her finger into my pants zipper and play around with my penis, and this isn't something that happens to me all the time. This was years ago in my youth, and it was disturbing. And then I had to work with that person later, so.
Oh yeah.
So that was even a stranger situation. So, I just think, and I'm sure you've had a situation like that happen here or there. It's just there has to be a line in the sand where it's not that. I don't feel that I was sexually assaulted. I feel that there was a mistake made.
There were vibes that were sent out that were not reciprocated.
Yeah.
And that's the difference, in my opinion. I don't want people to hear this and go, oh, Randy thinks women are blowing this shit out of proportion.
Oh, no. For sure
I've read some stories from people that I know personally on this Me Too thing that just made me sick to my stomach, and I feel horrible for these people.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, at the same time, we're going down a slippery slope here of this public opinion bullshit where everybody can judge you ahead of time before and not know all the facts. You know what I mean?
It's overly PC. Yeah. There was already a politically correct net in place. And then it seems as though there's been another one crisscrossed over it, another politically correct net of unsafe words. I got into a goddamn argument the other day about midgets, because evidently you're not supposed to call them midgets. I don't know. I thought you were supposed to.
They like little people now, I guess.
Little people doesn't sound good to me. And I know that there are small adults. I don't know what the hell that do a thing called midget wrestling. So it's called midget wrestling. They have shirts that say, "I support midget violence," which if you wear that and you're a grown-up person, you're going to have not a grown-up person. Not like these people aren't grown up. You see, I can't navigate it, man. It's these waters are so murky with PC bombs that are just going to blow up,
That was what my thing I wrote, the opinion piece I wrote recently on the page is about. It before all that, where it was just kind of a few here or there, I wrote this thing because I was reading about the outrage of Larry David making a joke on SNL about the Holocaust, which happened, 75 years ago or what have you.
Right.
And his uncle actually died in the Holocaust, So if anybody gets to make a Holocaust joke, it's that guy,
Of course.
But what people have lost, and that's what I try to point to. I hope I did an okay job of explaining it, because it was hard for me to put down in words, but it's there's something that's been lost in the last decade or 20 years. There is a need to take the piss out of things, especially things
completely
that are hurtful. And that's how I grew up in my family. If a tragedy would happen, we would mourn, and then we would laugh, and then we would go on.
Right.
There isn't a healing process, in my opinion, that can happen without a little laughter. And I think that taking the power away from something by laughing at it is a good thing. And these fucking kids today, I don't know what they're going to do. How are they going to cope when they're fucking my age or older, in their 50s, Are they all just going to end up at their houses turning their cell phones off and shaking in a corner? I mean,
it's unbelievable. It's going to really affect comedy, and we're going to end up with, instead of having comedians at comedy shows, it's going to be long form poets or fucking whatever the shit
Well, remember
you know.
before comedy there was vaudeville, which is just basically people juggling and like it's to me it's like and people will argue with this that are really into comedy. They think vaudeville is like a fucking like people that are all about comedy are like, oh, vaudeville was the beginning. Oh, they get all bleh about it. But to me, vaudeville's silly. It's just a bunch of nonsense that people were doing to try to create a niche for at circuses in
Right.
between fucking freak shows, you know?
Right,
So,
yeah.
So, but that's how we're going. That's where we're going. What's safe? Juggling. Oh, look at how who's amused by juggling? Small children and puppies.
Yeah.
I mean, and the elderly, the infirm. Yeah, threw balls in the air and caught them. Several repetitions.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
if you don't want to think anymore, then I can't live in this culture.
And to have no like perspective on just having no perspective on humor at all. It seems like a lot of these younger kids, they just have no idea, or you say the wrong you say something in a joking manner and it sounds offensive. Maybe it is offensive. It's fine to be offensive. That's the
It
thing.
should be. Most things should try. I mean, you should be able to look at something that you don't find offensive and things that you do, so that
Right.
you can kind of explain to people why you have a. Otherwise, you're not a cognitive thinking person. You're just a drone. If you like everything that everybody else likes, you're just a drone.
Right.
There is no. You're not a free will using thoughtful person.
Yeah, and the thing that it just drives me nuts that I don't feel that I'm comfortable commenting on so many different things because people are crying on Facebook, like I don't know why everyone's standing up for Louis C.K. What a horrible monster. He's not a horrible monster. He's a human being. Every single one of us has some skeletons in our closet.
And even Saturday Night Live called him a sex monster, like on their weekend update.
Crazy.
And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? This is a guy you've worked with. He's hosted 4 times.
Yeah.
You heard his story, both sides. He admitted to doing this thing. He's Kevin Spacey is a sex monster, by public opinion in comparison, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? If only one of those stories are true about Kevin Spacey, then yes, he is a fucking monster.
Yeah, and
But Louis C.K. is just a sad sack.
let's say that jerking off in front of women is Louis' fucking kink. That's what he wants to do. It gets him off in some weird way that I can't understand. Everybody's got something like that. And, let's say that these women just wanted to come out and fucking lay it on the table because everybody else is. Why not? Let's get it all out here. And maybe they consented to it. Maybe, who knows what the situation is. Maybe it was a cheap publicity thing. I'd hate saying that, but maybe it was. And maybe it horrified them. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But for all these articles to pop out everywhere, calling him all these different horrible things, the man is clearly, he is a fucking genius in my eyes as a person who observes every comedy special that comes out. He's a fucking amazing, and I'll tell you what, if everybody can look past Michael Jackson. They still do it all the time. They play a Michael Jackson song. People are like, oh, yeah, Michael. Oh, he was misunderstood. I'll tell you what, he wasn't that misunderstood. That dude had some fucked up shit going on. And
Right.
and also Woody Allen. He's walking around like everything's cool and he's not fucked up. He's a
making
fucked
movies and getting Oscar nominations, and he's married to his stepdaughter. You know what I mean? What the fuck?
I mean, but it's... What is going to happen?
Roman Polanski butt raped a 13-year-old girl,
Right.
in the 70s. This isn't even recently.
Yeah.
And he's living in France like nobody's business, Louis C.K. walked into a room with a bunch of people after a show that were drunk and sat down and said, hey, I think I'm going to whip my dick out now.
Yeah.
You can stay if you want. I don't know, man. To me, it seems like a very pale comparison.
Yeah,
and something
right.
easily to avoid. So I don't...
Yeah, I was talking to my wife about it. I was like, I can't even imagine asking 'cause I was like, if let's say we just first got together and I was like, hey, do you mind if I masturbate in front of you? Like, what's the words he used? That's what I need to know. The fucking, I want a video of it. Honestly, I want to see what happened. I want to see. I want to if they want me to judge it, if they're going to put thousands of articles out there expecting America to judge this situation, I want to see video. Or at least I want to hear audio. You know, I want to know what was said.
Right.
Like, did
right. If he's sitting there jerking it, going, "Don't you fucking move," then yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I need to
wrong.
know the context because it could be like he's like, "Hey, do you ladies mind if I jerk it right here for you? Oh, you're all so wonderfully beautiful. I would just like to pull it out and just right here in front of it." And maybe they're like, "Yeah, Louis, whatever you want. I mean, cool. We're all fucked up, whatever, you know." So
Yeah.
I need to know the context.
But yeah. I posted earlier on Facebook. I made a post. I was like, "You have to remember when you say this, what you have to go. Hey, you want to see my dick?" And then wait for a response. And then somebody commented underneath of it, like explaining the Louis C.K. thing to me, that like I didn't know. And then on their response, I just commented, "No, this is for me on my drive to work tomorrow."
This was for me. You can't take it from me.
Yeah, this is just a remembrance for me to keep. You have to wait for a response. I mean, I just think that it goes back to my original point. Making light of a dark situation is the only way through, in my opinion.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's how I've always dealt with stuff, and people have judged me for it too. Like they don't like it when you laugh at tragedy, but if I don't laugh at tragedy, that's my only.
That's my it's my coping mechanism.
That's all I can do to deal with whatever's happening, and if it makes me feel comfortable because I can laugh about something, you know, like.
Right. Well, not too long ago, a couple of my aunts passed away, but one of them passed away, and it was even more of a somber situation because it was very unexpected, you know.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm standing with three of my cousins. They're a couple years younger than me, and we're pallbearers, and we're standing in this little room waiting to be told what to do. And my cousins were talking about, you know, how they had to go to the gym after all this nonsense, you know, that's happening, you know, because they were working out for some reason, you know.
Right.
And I said, "Oh yeah, I got to go to the gym too, but that's just because I'm super fat." And we all laughed really hard. And this mortician guy walks around the corner, and we're all laughing, and he just kind of glared. But I wanted to go, "Hey, fuck you, buddy. We're mourning. This is what we do," you know.
Yeah, there's no other way for me to handle most shit, and of course I do break down. I always break down like emotionally if it's a sad moment. You know, you got to lean into it if it's happening. I don't know what else to do, but I always try to laugh about things and keep a levity about life because in my personal day to day, there is a looming gloom of depression like every day. So if I don't laugh about shit, what the fuck? What am I gonna do? You know, like every day I'm like, yeah, got bills. Kids drive me crazy. Got to go to work. Gonna die sometime. You know, like there's always that. I'm always carrying it with me like a turtle with a shell on my back. You know, it's But what can you do, man? That's life. You gotta just fucking dig it, I guess.
I've just been contemplating our entire way that we set up, and I'm thinking back over the years because this stuff really hit me because I was like, you know, I appreciate these people in a way that some people don't. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
yeah.
So maybe to them they just brush it off and go on. But if it happened to their football gods or their basketball gods, they might stop for a minute, or you know, their presidents or what have you, whatever it is that they're into. You know?
Yeah, their person.
My outlet as a kid that moved around a lot was reading, movies, music. You know. So this rash of crazy shit that's happening, like in the music world, there's rash of suicides.
Oh yeah.
In this world now, these crazy assaults that people that I respect are assaulting each other in just disgusting, violent ways. You know, too, and you know, and so I started thinking about our society and like trying to roll back in my head, like, men in my life that have said things like when I'm going out on a date. My dad was always very matter of fact, open the car door, treat her nice, make sure you pay, right?
Right.
On going on a date, right? So that was how I grew up. And then when I got older, when people were wanting me to have sex, some of these older men in my life, that they'd be like, "Oh, if you're gonna fuck her, you got to make the first move because they won't make the first move." And then you think about like your uncles or somebody telling you that, what's the first move? Or got this old guy I worked with, and I was like, well, what do I do? And he's like, well, you just grab her ass, man, pull her close, grab her by the ass, and go in for that kiss. And either she'll push you off, and then you know that you did the wrong thing,
Yeah.
or she'll be into it. And so that's how I've operated as a guy. You know what I mean? I mean, because my dad would never want me to have sex at that time period because he didn't want to be a grandfather. You know what I mean? So he just left it as you're treating the girl nice, you give her a hug or a kiss at the end of the night if she wants it, if not, and then you wave as you're leaving. The end,
Right.
And these older men in my life were like, oh, if you want to get laid, you got to just grab that ass. You got to pull them close. All the way up till recently, an old man I worked with, I was going on a date with a girl, and we went on a real nice date, and I came in the next day, he's like, so did you fuck her? He's like 75 years old, man. And I was like, I went, what? And he's like, yeah, did you plow that, And I'm like, well, it was our first date. And he goes, man, I fucked every one of the women I've ever been with on a first date.
Wow.
And now I'm wondering, are these all consensual encounters?
Yeah, you'd almost assume they wouldn't be. I mean, depending on, maybe he doesn't have a big record there, or I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know the wins losses.
But me, I've always been the I've kind of been like Louis C.K. I'm a very awkward human being.
Yeah.
When I get into that, you know me for a long time. I went on a date with a girl once and shook her hand at the end of the date. You remember that story?
Yeah,
I was like, I didn't know, I couldn't get a vibe on her at all, so I just reached my hand out. She took my hand, and I was like, it was a pleasure to meet you. Have a terrific evening.
Yeah.
And I went on into my car and left. And I was driving home. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me?
Yeah, but it seems to me like that nowadays with all these, and it's a good thing to have proactive women that are out there trying to do things, but
absolutely,
I think sometimes the perspective is swayed in like a really weird direction, to where like they want us to basically they think that we can, as men, can stop this stuff from happening. We are ingrained in this world just the same as they are. The only difference is a lot of these guys that are complete dildos and assholes, they have no problem just talking about their horribleness in front of us like it's cool. I don't know. I don't know if they do it to you on a regular basis, but when you're just around a bunch of dudes, and they got their bro code mentality going on, and
we're calling it locker room talk nowadays. But yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
And I always still, even when I'm just with a bunch of guys, I always still try to have respect and be the same. I always try to be the same person, I think. I don't know. Yeah. I struggle with it, because I always want to be the same person, no matter what, no matter who I'm talking to. I'm sure that every once in a while something will fall out of my mouth that sounds really misogynist or whatever, and I'm trying to not do that. I see a lot of blame on men who aren't the problem. I always hear that's just like a man, or that, and it's fucking terrible to hear that. But,
typical man.
Yeah, and there is no typical man. There's not.
Right.
There are similar traits. Personally, myself, when I'm dealing with an upset female, I tend to back away like a dog because I don't want to do that. I don't want to be involved in it at all. So no matter who it is, I'll back away. I'll agree with them. I'll move on. That's just what I have to do because I can't win. I can't win.
It was something I saw that I kept seeing in these comment sections. I saw a lot of people that were like with Louis saying like, hey, at least he addressed that he did do it and apologized and said that the right things, But I did see a lot of these women guys were like, man, it's not that big a deal. And they were attacking these men for not understanding it. But that, A, I guess. But B, they were attacking them with like, what if it was your wife or daughter? And to my answer to that, again, I don't have kids and I don't have a wife at the moment, but and if I had a wife, why would she be in Louis C.K.'s hotel room? I mean,
Right. Yeah.
But anyways, well, let's say it was or my sister or somebody. My first question to them is, I'd be like, why didn't you leave the room?
Yeah.
You know?
No, because
I mean,
maybe it's because we're jaded white men who, like, that's the thing. Maybe our perspective is fucked up, because I didn't know that there was so much racism in our country, and there's a ton of it, evidently. So we were blinded by that. Maybe we are blinded by the women's plight. But from my perspective, as a person who deals with women, I always give them the utmost respect. I see most men giving them the utmost respect, but then there must be some percentage that are directly just being assholes to them, and we aren't seeing that. So, and I've seen plenty of dickhead guys at the bar or whatever, you're out and about, you see these douchebags. They're easy to spot. Here's a tip for all you women. Don't go home with those guys, but you do it all the time. Like, like I remember when I was a single guy, I would be like out with, you guys or whatever, and we'd be sitting there like, what is that girl doing with that guy? That guy couldn't think his way out of a wet paper bag, and there they go. They're gone for the night, and then you're sitting there with me, and we're like, what's up? What now? What we do now?
Right. And then I'd look at you and I'd say, hey, want to see my wiener?
That's the thing. At our last Gromy show, Dan was talking about the whole, if I've seen your genitals, we're fucking. This is what Dan said. And I said, he said, me and Frank's been friends for a long time. I've never seen his penis. I said, not yet, buddy. and he said, well, we would be in a sexual relationship if that was happening. I said, not unless I just show it to you for no reason. And I'm saying all this in front of all the people that have come to our show, and I'm not even thinking that it might not be cool to say that stuff. But I don't know where the line is. I know where my line is, and it is whenever a man personally, physically assaults someone, like puts his hands on them, because like otherwise it's just Louis C.K. flashed these women, and they stuck around for the show. That's essentially what it was. And what would that crime be? That would be a misdemeanor. It's not a felony. He doesn't need to lose all of his credentials for a sexual mistake. Right. It's not like he drugged 40 women and raped them. It's a big, and I know that women hate you to compare and contrast.
Shitty pudding pop commercials.
Yeah, but it's like I know there's a spectrum of sexual disturbances and stuff. Like it's like showing some, like Louis C.K.'s on the low end of that totem pole. He wasn't doing a horrible thing. And the thing is, these women talk to each other. They're in the same community. Did it all happen in one place, Randy? Was it in front of all five at the same time?
I don't know for sure, because I couldn't get an answer out of the first person that told me about it on that end of it. And then when I was doing the reading, it doesn't say. It leads you to believe that it might have been one incident, but it could have been two. It wouldn't have been more than two. The one person that's unnamed, and they went off. They wouldn't go on record. So I don't know that situation. And say if he did it once, he probably did it twice. If nobody's leaving.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean,
yeah, but maybe that's his thing. And I'll be honest, that's a safe thing for him to be his thing. And wait till
here's my other problem too. And this is why I'm mad at Louis C.K. Because he's at this point, even back then, 8 years ago, he was making an obscene amount of money. Okay?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He didn't have to have these people come back to his apartment. He could have fucking called any one of his managers or helpers and said, hey, I want 2 prostitutes to come up to my room. And even if he got caught doing that, it would have been better in society, apparently, than this. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's that one, is he a senator or a governor that got caught with the gay prostitute, and he's still in government, he's still in.
Yeah.
So, that's what I heard somebody talk about not too long ago, was how Anthony Weiner, I think the last incident he had sent a picture to an underage girl, so that is a felony.
Yes.
But prior to that, he had sent just a dick pic to a woman, which isn't a felony. It's not a crime. But
He was married though at the
yeah,
time.
but he was run out of office.
Oh yeah.
Whereas this senator, or I think it was a senator, was caught with a gay prostitute and kept his job. They were talking about how that's what, having friends in a certain situation will do. So we'll see how many friends Louis has. We'll see how many friends all these people have, because everybody evidently.
Right.
I mean, the Charlie Sheen thing is crazy. I don't know if that's true or not.
I don't know if you saw this recent update on that. Charlie Sheen was actually just vindicated by Corey Haim's mother. Corey Haim's mother had been told the situation ahead of time by Corey way before he ever died. And so she knew the name of the person that actually did rape him, and it wasn't Charlie Sheen.
Oh.
That's all bullshit.
Wow.
And she released a press statement. She said she tried to get a hold of TMZ, and they didn't want to hear her story, which makes sense, because what's a better headline? What gets you more clicks?
Yeah, that's
Charlie
true.
Sheen raped
That's true.
a famous lost boy,
Oh man, crazy! It's just so crazy, and that's the thing. I felt like we had to do an episode on this because it's the craziest shit that has happened as of late. I mean, aside from the presidential shit, because that's just buck wild. But this stuff is really coming out from all over the place, and I can't wait till the people that like the really weird shit start getting called out, like who knows what it would be, Richard Simmons like shitting on coffee tables,
Well, here's the newest one I heard. Richard Dreyfuss.
Oh no.
Richard Dreyfuss's son Harry was apparently one of the kids that Kevin Spacey touched.
Oh shit.
Then during that whole thing, Richard Dreyfuss was accused by an actress of forcing himself on her on a set.
Jesus.
And like showing his ween, and he admitted that he thought it was a playful sexual thing that they were doing.
Oh my god, dude. Oh, this has got to be, you got to be going through hell right now, don't you? I bet the Weinstein shit really affected you a little bit, didn't it? Like, cuz
I love, you know me, I love all those old Miramax Weinstein movies. I mean, I didn't know that shit. I knew that people made fun of that guy for being a loud asshole, because that's, if you read anything about him, he's a loud asshole. They even make fun of him in True Romance. That's supposed to be the guy that the movie producer at the end.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be him as a joke.
Oh,
also in Tropic Thunder, that's supposed to be Harvey Weinstein.
Wow.
The Tom Cruise guy. So people they've known about it for a long time, the way that he acts around people. But it's like George Clooney said, I knew he was an asshole. I didn't like him very much, but he was in charge of a major studio.
Right. Yeah. What do you do?
Nobody's talking about sexual assaults. Nobody's coming to nobody's telling Randy Wotan, the normal viewer, that, hey, by the way, this was filmed on a set where a lady was raped, or I wouldn't have watched it. You know? So.
And at this point, there's such a catalog of Miramax movies and stuff. I have to just not even pay attention to that, because ultimately he didn't have his fingers into the project that much. He was just a source of money. Money
into stuff, but it wasn't the project.
Yeah. Money really is the worst of everything man has created. So
somebody said this to me, too, Frank, real quick. They said, Randy, if you were there, what would you have done with Harvey Weinstein? And I said, well, I would have a movie script and a very scarred psyche. I would be a millionaire right now with a scarred psyche of that old man jerking off in the shower.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I said, I have a different view on things. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I have much else to say about it, aside from I'm just disappointed, just really disappointed.
Disappointing
in so many things, and I don't know what to believe. I don't know what not to believe. I know that I've made my line in the sand, and as long as there's no physical things happening, I think that you can avert your eyes. You can even close them if some dude's jerking off in front of you. I know that might be damaging to your psyche or your mental state, but I think you women are stronger than that. You can, and I tell you what, if somebody does that to you, yell it from the rooftops, man. Immediately walk out of whatever room it happened in and just start yelling exactly what happened. You have power. People will listen to you. I mean, women have power. They may not realize it, but they do. Especially when they band together. Like,
and all I can say as a guy, all right, as Randy Wotan and Ray McGuff or what have you, is I'm on your side, and I'm sorry, but I've done shit that I regret too in my life. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I can't take it back, but I haven't. There wasn't anything that, there was things that happened when I was drunk once where I touched a girl inappropriately, and she told me about it the next day, and I felt awful. You know what I mean?
Right.
I would never want that to happen again, so I've adjusted myself as a human being and decided I'm not going to be like that anymore. I don't drink like that anymore because of that kind of stuff.
Right.
I don't like who I am. I'm not blaming my drinking on that, but that's the kind of I'm trying to avoid those situations, and I'm trying to be a better person. And I think that's what all the guys that are seeing this right now, like having our eyes open to it, we want to try to be better people, but there has to be some sort of common ground that we can look at and go, okay, well, this over here is definitely warranted. This is kind of ridiculous, though,
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
we have to be able to come together and fix this problem. And if you're uncomfortable, you're right. And it's just, if I'm uncomfortable, I get up and leave the fucking room. You know what I mean? I've done that on a couple of girls, too. I've walked right out of rooms.
I want to say...
I was down to have sex. And real quick, I was just down to have sex, and I've looked around the room, and I went, nope, and I left.
Yeah.
And you're allowed to do that, too. I'm just saying.
And I want to say I'm also on the side of the women. Men who are listening, you really got to start paying attention to be active and be aware that everything you say and do is going to be, that's their impression of you. So please just stop making everyone look like assholes, because we're not. One other thing is that I wanted to point out the fact that women do have this problem of men exerting themselves too much, forcefully jerking off in front of them, pushing them down and forcing them to have sex with them and whatever. But men such as myself, who is not necessarily an attractive man, do have the other side of things where really attractive women try to manipulate us a lot. I'm very aware of it, so I always I'm like, fuck you, I'm always very aware of it. But it happens all the time. It's just the nature of humanity, I guess. We take advantage of each other. So
right, and that, like I don't care how hot you are, I'm not going to listen to your stupid vegan story.
That's true. Anyways, we should wrap this episode up. I want to thank everybody for listening and all that jazz. Anything else you want to say, Ray?
No, just ladies, keep fighting the good fight, and but I don't know who's going to be there to make me a delicious sandwich.
Yeah.
Oh no! You ended on that, Ray.
Here, let me do it for you, ladies. You make your own goddamn sandwich. What am I? Some sort of... All right. Well, thanks for keeping it strange, folks. We'll see you next time with some actual news.
Later.
With real people having sex, usually amateur porn, not that slick North Hollywood shit, is amazing. It's beautiful. Porn often captures the moment of orgasm joy when a woman is at her freest, her most stunning, like a snapshot of a butterfly emerging from the cocoon.
No, you stupid motherfuckers. This is a ZTO TV podcast.